You are CEO and chairman of Facebook. That's an extraordinary amount of power, given that you rule a kingdom of 2 billion people digitally, essentially. Shouldn't your power be checked?
You know, I always talk about how we need to partner with governments around the world, and other companies and nonprofits and other sectors. So yes, I don't think fundamentally that we're going to be able to address all of these issues by ourselves.
So you are not stepping down as chairman?
That's not the plan.
That's not the plan.
Hey there guys, this is Dan Dix here reporting for Press for Truth, and as some of you are probably already aware, back in October of 2018, the Press for Truth Facebook page was purged from Facebook, and I remember on the day that it happened, I was pretty bummed. I mean, it sucked. 350,000 followers just disappeared over the course of one morning. But the more and more I looked into it and the more I thought about it day by day that followed, the more I realized what happened to Press for Truth on Facebook was actually a blessing in disguise. And so in today's video, we're going to talk about some of the reasons why one might not want to no longer be involved in Facebook, but also some of the reasons that people seem to be missing and are currently going under the radar. Now, we are already well aware of the fact that it was exposed through the Cambridge Analytica scandal that there was a massive data breach with Facebook. I mean, Zuckerberg had to go on trial essentially because of the fact that our data had been breached. That's already well known in the open public sphere. Most people are already also well aware of the fact that Facebook has a secret mood manipulation experiment where they can essentially shape and shift the moods and the ideas and the opinions of the masses, especially by manipulating their emotions into an area that is desirable by them. Again, this is not, conspiracy theory. This is proven fact. Now, one thing that people don't realize is that Facebook is actually a massive racket, a huge profit-generating machine. I'm sure you're aware most of it is done through advertising, but a lot of the way that Facebook generates cash is now being exposed to be completely fraudulent, and this should be a big eye-opener as to why we need to move away from this platform altogether. Now, this is just out from Bloomberg. Google, Facebook ad sales seen rising, even amid privacy woes. Concerns over Facebook's privacy and regulations aren't hurting Facebook Inc. and Google where it matters, their multi-billion-dollar advertising business. As the internet giants prepare to report fourth quarter earnings, most industry analysts say growing consumer spending and the continued march from in-store to online commerce will keep digital advertising growing. That's something investors are keen to see after a year of damaging headlines, congressional hearings, and a painful share sell-off. So according to Bloomberg, sales are doing just fine when it comes to advertising on Facebook, but what they're not telling you, ladies and gentlemen, is some of the info we're going to reveal right here and right now. This just out from Zero Hedge. Facebook slides after report claims 50% of its users are fake. This is huge. In a report published Thursday by Plainsight, an independent research shop led by Aaron Greenspan, analysts calculated that Facebook's CEO Mark Zuckerberg has been regularly lying to investors and the public about the company's user metrics, and that the company could have overestimated the numbers of its users by as much as 50%, guys. That is a pretty big number when we're talking about defrauding your user base. I mean, investors, advertisers are paying good money, real money, to advertise to what they think is going to be around 2 billion eyeballs, but it turns out it's half that. Maybe not even half that. I mean, could you imagine if you were an advertiser and you spent money on trying to do this and then you found out that only 50% of the people who were supposed to see it actually saw it? I mean, people should be absolutely outraged. But if it wasn't bad enough that they're fudging the numbers as to real accounts and fake accounts. It gets even worse, folks, because it's just been revealed they're actually going over some of the most vulnerable out there users of Facebook, and that is children. This just out, Facebook knowingly duped game-playing kids and their parents out of money. Facebook orchestrated a multi-year effort that duped children and their parents out of money, in some cases hundreds or even thousands of dollars, and then often refused to give the money back, according to court documents unsealed tonight in response to a revealed legal action. So essentially, kids were playing these games, not having any idea that their parents' accounts were connected to the credit card. It says here, Facebook encouraged game developers to let children spend money without their parents' permission. That's a new thing. And one of these kids, a 15-year-old, racked up $6,500 in charges in 2 weeks of playing games on Facebook. And the company denied requests for any refunds. Facebook employees were referring to these kids as whales. Guys, this is a term borrowed from the casino industry to describe prolific spenders. A child could spend hundreds of dollars a day on game features such as arming a character with a flaming sword or a new magic spell to defeat an enemy, even if they didn't realize it until the credit card bill arrived. So, fooling these kids into thinking that they're not necessarily playing with real money, or not making it clear that they are, and removing the permissions for them to even be able to spend their parents' money, that's the kind of shady practices we're seeing from Facebook in order to generate revenue for the company. So, I mean, I thought, some of this stuff was pretty bad. I mean, I thought the Cambridge Analytica scandal should have woke people up to, just how bad things are getting. I thought the fact that, it was proven that they know how to steer the emotions and the opinions of the masses using their algorithms should have been a pretty big eye-opener. But, Bloomberg doesn't seem to get it. I hope you guys will. They're going after our children, and they're fudging the numbers in order to generate revenue. Now, in light of all of that, one would think, okay, why on earth would we give an organization like this the ability to decide what is real information and what is so-called fake news? I mean, we really should clearly not be even coming close to considering such a ridiculous thing, but that's actually what's happening right now in Europe. Get a load of this, folks. The Facebook is now trying to create a war room to fight fake news. Facebook will tackle political misinformation in the run-up to the EU elections this May with a war room based in Dublin. The company's incoming communications chief, Nick Clegg, has announced. So I honestly think, the powers that ought not to be, these elite globalists who are really pulling the strings here, are seeing Brexit as a pretty big thorn in their side. And they need to use the propaganda wing of the government, Facebook, as their way to, as we've shown earlier, sway the emotions and the opinions of the masses into an area that's going to be beneficial to them, which is an area that's going to call for a unified European Union. We're going to see more posts like, can't we all just get along? It's for the betterment of society. Things will be better off if we could all just get along and give up our sovereignty and, join into a European Union. And this is eventually leading to an eventual global government for all these unions to eventually give up their sovereignty to join the global government. And to me, it's obvious, folks, that Facebook is being used for this, and we cannot look to the government or Facebook to solve the problems that are created by the government or Facebook. So I want to leave you today with a short little 4-minute interview I did in response to Press for Truth being purged from Facebook. And I had an important message for people to hear, just in case you missed it. I want to play it for you. I was interviewed on Russia Today, And the video is titled Dan Dick's Response to the Facebook Purge. Internet Bill of Rights is not what we need. And if you missed this one, I think it's important for people to understand where we need to take this moving forward. Again, we cannot look to Facebook or the government to solve the problems that they are the ones who are generating and creating. And if you appreciate this video, guys, please share this one. Click the thumbs up button. We got to get the word out there to your friends, your family members who are just sucked into that world, that it may be time to think twice about who you're giving your information to and who you're allowing your emotions and ideas to be swayed by. And also, please check the links in the description. Right down here, you'll see links to where you can, join as a member, or you can contribute a one-time contribution or donation. Everything helps. We need your support here at Press for Truth. We're going up against a behemoth that is the propaganda spin machine in the mainstream media. So we need all the help we can get. But I just wanted to bring this to your attention today, folks. Facebook is pulling a fast one on everybody, and I hope people eventually wake up and realize that maybe it's time to pull the plug themselves, before they get banned by Facebook or whatever. So I want to leave you with this one. Once again, thanks for watching. Click the thumbs up button and share this one with your friends and family. And this one is called Dan Dick's Response to the Facebook Purge. Internet Bill of Rights is not what we need.
Let's discuss this further now with investigative journalist Dan Dicks. Dan, welcome to the programme. Now, if we look at the Facebook bans, do you think it's making the company too involved in politics? And should a social media platform even be deciding which information is fake or real?
Well, there is no doubt about this, that this is political. As I said in that tweet that you read out, this is clearly a political move. When you have these major tech companies appointing themselves as the gatekeepers of political thought, well, that is clearly a political move. I was told that this was because of spamming, that we are mass collectively pushing our information on people, or that it was operated from a fake account. All of these things are untrue. The information that I post or used to post on Facebook was information that I produce on my website, which goes against the government. It goes against the status quo. And I think that's what we are dealing with here today, is the silencing of anybody who's, it doesn't even matter left, right side of the political spectrum. It's anybody who goes against the status quo right now seems to be a target. And Alex Jones may have been the first domino to fall, but it seems that they are now coming after some of the smaller guys who talk about similar things.
Yeah, I mean, we've heard from the founders of the Free Thought Project and antimedia.com that it's not only Facebook, but Twitter's joined in as well, and they've banned their accounts too. How likely that this is a coordinated effort?
It is very, very likely, especially when we consider the fact that the Good Censor leaked document from Google just came out just a few days ago. And we know, in the case of Alex Jones, for example, that it was a concerted effort because they all did it at the exact same time. So when we have a midterm election coming up right around the corner in the United States, I'm Canadian. My channel is Canadian. We also have a federal election coming up not too far away. So they are taking away these voices that are actually have an ability to influence these things. So that's what we're seeing now. This is the mainstream media trying to wipe out their competition so that the oligarchy can continue to maintain the status quo.
Dan, if we look at free speech, is Facebook violating free speech by banning accounts?
Well, that's an interesting question because that raises the topic of whether or not they are a private company or if they're a public company or if they're quasi-private. I am of the opinion that I am not going to lobby for any kind of internet regulation bill. I don't want them to be regulated. I don't want them to be removed from the internet. I would like to see the free market decide what to do with Facebook by choosing to just migrate off the platform, boycott it if you will, and to move over to these other platforms that do support free speech. Platforms like Steemit.com, like BitChute.com, like Minds.com, like DTube. There are a lot of alternative platforms that are popping up now as a result of the censorship of free speech. So I think it's not only a troubling time, but we're at a bit of a fork in the road where it's also an exciting time too. We could see the free market present itself and some really awesome alternative platforms begin to arise. And I'm going to be joining all of them as a hedge against this outright censorship that we're going to be seeing from Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, all the major conglomerates.
Okay, thanks, Dan Dix, investigative journalist, for coming onto the program. Thank you.
We all want truth. The truth will set you free.